Welcome back to my workshop. This is part 2 of the Live Edge River coffee table. Before I move on, just want to give you some news that I'm upgrading my camera. So I've currently been recording my videos on this Sony Handycam HDR SR12. It's 1080i interlaced, and I must admit I find the focus keeps zooming in and out and going blurry. I'm going to be swapping over to the recently purchased Canon 200D, which I believe in America is called the Rebel SLR2. So here we go, let's switch over, and I'm hoping the picture's going to be better. And now on the Canon 200D, hoping the image is much better. Now, in my previous video I prepared the Sycamore boards that I had. Been away for a couple of weeks and then I came back and had some other things to do, so I left the boards on my workbench in my workshop, and unfortunately they've twisted. They're like propellers now and they've cupped really badly. They have warped really badly. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see it's lifted off here. These were perfectly flat. Both of them are really badly warped. And they're like propellers. It's back to the drawing board. Let's start again. I've purchased some French walnut. I'll spare the time on that one. I won't show you that process, but it was the same as the last one. I might show you 1 or 2 seconds of that, but that's all. Let's have a quick look at the walnut. So we've got some lovely French walnut there, and that's what we're going to use to now make the table with, and have a nice river down the middle. And also these ones have got 2 waney edges, which is really good. So I'm going to have a waney edge on the side, a waney edge there, obviously the one down the middle with the epoxy fill. I need to lay them on top of each other, trim them to length, then decide which way round to have them. Let's crack on. The boards are all trimmed now. I've squared the ends off so they're perfectly square. I've just measured them. They're 2.326 meters long. Check. Yeah, 2.326. Now we need to do the width. So I've put the edge, the most sticking out part, against the edge of the MDF. I just need to put this on here. Measure that there is 169. Going 169 here. Move that along. Yep, that's going to be inside there. Just check. 169. Yep. Okay, so I now know how wide this has got to be by the bit that's sticking out the most. So this bit will be up against the side. So now I need to measure the width. So we know that's on there, right on the end. And we've got 1010. So what we need to do now is make up an MDF tray, if you will, to put these boards in. 1010 wide and 2326. So we need a sheet that big, and then we'll put the bits on the side. The upstands will go on the side. Okay guys, so there we have it. I've cut the sheet. It's just about 1 millimeter too big here. Maybe I should have cut it perfectly, but I gave it an extra mil, which means there's a gap now. But I'm gonna have to seal that anyway, I think. I need to make the sides for it and box it in. So let's cut the sides. Cut the sides. I'm just going to fix them to it, screw it in, and then I'll mark the ends and cut those. 7. Oh, come on, get on. That is 1041. Okay, so the ends are cut. Let's fit those. So I've made an entire box, and also if the epoxy does start to leak out, at least there's something to catch it in. What I've decided to do though is, because it's only 12 degrees in the workshop, and the advice is that the epoxy should be poured in about 18 to 20 degrees. So I'm going to take this indoors, set it all up indoors, and do it in there. Unfortunately, I'd rather do it in here, but it's just too cold. So I'm going to go and put a load of plastic down, break down this bench, temporary workbench, and take that indoors as well, and we'll set it up in there, and I'll see you in there. And then have it flush your rim with the metal things. Yeah?
I don't really know who you think you are really, because I've already got an artist.
Okay, we're all inside now. We set up this inside. The next job to do is to put a coat of wax on this. I've got this Magars Gold Class Canoba Plus wax. So apparently the epoxy shouldn't stick to this melamine. However, there are a couple of imperfections in it, and I'm worried it will stick to it. So apparently if we wax it with this, it's kind of a release agent for the epoxy. So let's apply a few coats of this and see what happens. So giving it a bit of time to dry, so I'll give it a bit of a buff now. I'm hoping that 2 coats will be enough of this wax. So guys, I've now levelled this the best I can using some of these plastic spacers. The only problem is obviously there's nothing under the middle of this where it could sag slightly, but at least the outside is nice and level. I've waxed it as we saw, given it 2 coats of wax. Next thing to do is to put the boards in there, make sure they're in position, and then seal along the edges somehow, probably hot glue, and then we can start to do the resin pour. So let's go and get the boards in. There we go. Well guys, both logs in this tray. I'm going to go and get my hot glue gun and glue along the edges here. Stop epoxy going underneath. Just to stop it. Okay guys, it's time for the resin. So I've got my scales, I've got my mixing cup, I've got my pigment, Prussian blue pigment. Let's zero out the scales. I'm doing a 10-to-4 mix by weight. I'm using not cut glass cast. gave me some really good advice when I spoke to them. So let's get this party started, as they say. So I'm going to put some rubber gloves on. Let's put some rubber gloves on. So this is going to be a 10 to 4 mix, which is what they advised. So we're going to do 1.4 litres to start with. So that's 1 litre of the part, whatever this one is, part A. And part B will be 400. Oh, what did I just say? 1 litre, 1,000 grams. Okay, there's a litre of part A. So I've just put a litre in here. The only problem is I've got to put another 400 mils of hardener in, which will take it up here. It's a 2 litre pot, but I'm not sure how much expansion. So what I'm going to do is mix 1 litre. So for that, I need 700 grams of part A, and then 280 of part B. So we'll do 700 of part A instead. We've got 700 grams of part A, and now we want to colour it. Just going to put 1 drop for now, see what it's like. Is that clean? Yeah. I've decided I'm going to put 1 more drop in, so that'll be 2 drops per thing. Let's give that a stir. It's difficult to know how much colour to put with this, guys, so I'm going to put a 3rd drip and hope for the best, because I do have to add more. Well, I've got to put the hardener in it, to be fair. We're going to go with that. So it's 3 drips of this Prussian blue translucent pigment. Now I need to put the 280 grams of hardener in. 280 of the not cut part B hardener. So if I can get 280 in. 980. We've now measured that out. Let's move all this out of the way. Let's give this a good stir. Making sure we get in the corners and on the sides, getting all the hardener and the resin mixed in. Like I say, this is the not cut glass cast. Can be poured up to 25 millimeters in depth apparently, but they're not sure how it would cope with such a large amount of fill. Obviously exotherm's the issue, but on this one it shouldn't do. I mean, earlier on I poured 1 inch square in this ice cube tray, and actually it didn't exotherm, it didn't really get very hot because it is a very slow curing resin. So I think I've given that enough of a stir. But what we're going to do, just to be on the safe side, is transfer it into another pot. I'll pour it into this pot, and then we will put it in my vacuum chamber. Just to ensure it's fully mixed. Let's put the lid on. That's closed, that's open. Turn this on. Hold that down to get the vacuum going. Right, here we go. Pump, 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 pump. Bubbles are starting to come out. See all that? I'm glad I reduced the amount of resin in the pot, because that is frothing up to near the top. Remove the vacuum slowly. Let the air back in. Okay, out comes the resin. Whoa, yeah, apart from some surface bubbles, that is crystal clear. Crystal clear. So next job let's pour the resin. Let's quickly mix up the next one. I've poured 6 kilograms of glass cast in there, and I just noticed on the last pour it didn't quite flow quite the same, so I assume because it's taken a while, by the time I mix it I degas it, which takes a little while, and then I pour it. I assume, I'm not sure what the cure time is, I'll have to check, but I think it might be curing, so I'm going to call it a day there.